It's the country's #1 RVing radio show, sponsored by RVTravel.com, with your host, Alan Warren, the RV Wingman.
And welcome to the After the Show, everybody. I am Alan Warren, and I have a very special guest on the phone with us this week. She is one of the toughest, most determined, driven human beings you will ever meet, I'm telling you. And she is someone that you will want as your friend if you have an RV. Let's run on over to South Florida. How's Gigi doing?
Hey, how are you? I am grand.
I'm doing grand as well. So I'm really looking forward to today's visit because I think that you're going to be able to help a lot, thousands and thousands of RVers, Gigi, and they may not even know they need you yet. So I want you to, before we jump into RVs and all that, I want you to give everybody the 60-second Gigi story, the one that starts out, like a long time ago when you narrowly escaped death.
Oh boy, you want that story?
Well, I mean, I just think that it is so. It's a powerful story that helped determine the Gigi Stetler that you are today, I'm sure. So, introduce yourself. Tell us what happened, and then we'll get into the RVs.
So, I've always kind of considered myself success born out of failure. My father abandoned me. My mother was, not. I would say that she would not win the Mother of the Year award. And my father was a very wealthy man, and he hated me because I looked like my mother. So I think my whole life I just wanted to prove that I'm worthy of his love or even something. And so I, as a very young kid, I think I was at 11 years old. I was on my own since I was 11, and I remember selling candy. I was the #1 candy sales girl, and then I had all these odd jobs, and I just wanted to ride horses, and I would have to go and clean 35 stalls to ride a horse. I just was always determined to get what I want with hard work. And then I was 16. When I hit 16, I got my first car because I had worked 3 jobs, and I remember driving down to meet my father because I had never really seen him except for when I was a little girl, and he rejected me. So I saw my father at a restaurant that he owned, and he, for the first time, looked at me. We looked at each other like stray cats on the street, and he, for the first time ever, acknowledged me. And when I told him I had bought my first car, and I just turned 16, and I was not the scrawny little, squirrely little girl that he had known me as, and he introduced me to his friends, and we had lunch, and we talked, and it was unbelievable. It was like, oh my God, my father finally accepted me.
Mm-hmm.
So I went home that day. We had made plans to meet the next day and have lunch the next day. So I went home and, told my mother, that I, had lunch with Dad and da-da-da, and they had a really ugly divorce. So, that was all great. Went to sleep. She woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, my brother and I, and told us that my father just died of a heart attack.
Oh, my God.
And that was that. So that was my one and only introduction to my father. So I don't know if I just kind of, from that day forward, I just stayed on overdrive to make a mission to make him proud of me. And I just, being a woman, and I'm not playing the woman card, and I never play the woman card, but being a woman, we work twice as hard to get half as much. It's just the way it is, and I've kind of accepted it, and I've just always done it. And I bought an apartment building, fast forward, in my 20s, I bought an apartment building to rehab it while I was working in the hotel business. I was like 23 years old, and there was a homeless man in the basement, sleeping in the basement, and when I did the walkthrough, after I bought it, and I felt sorry for the guy. Instead of calling the police, I felt sorry for him, and I made a deal with him, and I exchanged, I gave him an apartment in exchange for painting, because I felt sorry. He was sleeping in the basement under the boiler, and so we had a deal for a couple of months, and on the 3rd month, he went all crazy, and the manager that I had there running the building, she told me that he was on the roof, throwing beer bottles off the roof. So again, I didn't want trouble for him, so I thought I would call I went over there to talk him down. When I got there, I realized that I wasn't talking him down. He was crazy, so I went to call 911 in the apartment of the manager, and he came sort of behind me, and he I was on the phone with 911, and he attacked me and stabbed me 21 times and left me for dead.
Oh my God.
So, but I'm here to talk about it, and the only thing I remember waking up in the hospital and the doctor sitting next to me after he sewed my left fingers back on my hand. He says, "Gigi, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't think that I am able to save your left arm. You have so much nerve damage." And I just looked at him and I said, "My left arm? Who cares? I'm alive. Are you kidding?" I just remember lying in a pool of blood and seeing, pearly white gates. I mean,
so you had a very rough, a very rough growing up period, and went through some real difficult times, but somehow you came out of it. And what was the biggest takeaway? And then tell me about how you got in the RV business.
I think my whole life has been like that, like just ups and downs and ups and downs, but being stabbed and left for dead and lucky you're alive, that put things into perspective that, no matter what life throws at me, I just throw it right back. So it's almost now like, you can't hurt me. You could do whatever you want. You can't hurt me. And we can move to that later about markets and stuff. But it's like the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, kind of thing. But so fast forward right after that, as I was on the recovery stage with 200 stitches, a friend of my mother's had bought a piece of property, and I actually sold all the hotels that I was managing and sold myself out of a job. And he bought this property, and there was RVs on the property, and it was an RV dealership, but he wasn't going to keep the dealership. He just bought the land to develop it. So he told me he said, come sell these RVs. We need to get the stuff off the property so we can develop it. Well, I didn't even know what the word RV stood for. I remember seeing the sign in some of the shopping plazas, no RV parking. No idea what that was. No idea. And then when I went there and I saw them, I was like, oh, those little houses on wheels. And I started in the park model business. So, and anyway, there was this parking lot full of a whole bunch of park models and some old trailers and stuff. And there was a Canadian young salesman and a manager that was working for the dealership that was there. She took off, sold the property. So I was there for like 2 weeks, and I was watching all this stuff going on, and the salesman, or the manager that was working for the previous owner, he I was listening to him, and he was lying to the customers and saying, oh, we're going to be there to service it, we're going to fix it, we're going to do this. And I'm like, I've always, I don't know, my family, my mother never taught me anything. I think I just knew that in order for me to survive, you need integrity. And so I'm watching this guy, and he's lying to his customers, and he's saying, I'll be there tomorrow, and all this, and I'm like, so I went and I told I called him my stepfather back then, and it's my mother's friend. I told him, I said, he's lying to customers, and he's stealing from me because I watched him steal money. And so the next thing I know, he fires the guy and makes me manager. I'm like, okay. So now I got to go clean up this whole mess. And so basically I started in the business on the service side, fixing a mess that this dealer carved out, which was in the park model business. Like we French Canadians was a big part of our business, or her business. And it was awful. She lied to everybody. She stole people's money. She took deposits and didn't deliver. So I walked into this mess, and we were, my stepfather, he was hundreds of thousands of dollars, negative with what he purchased in the inventory, and then all the negative people. And within a month, I turned it completely around, and he gave me zero budget. I remember the Canadian salesman, the kid that he was younger than me. He was probably 18, and it was him and I, and we had a milk crate of tools, like simple tools.
And this was over 30 years ago.
This is 1986. Started in November 14th, 1986. 32 years ago, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you started literally at the bottom, and you took a mess and put the mess back together and learned from all these experiences and getting knocked down. You crawled your way up, you picked yourself up, and you built yourself into one of the largest RV dealers in the state of Florida.
Well, actually, I when I first started to make kind of a presence in the industry, and there was about 27 dealers on my street, and I showed up at the first dealer meeting because now that we decided we're going to be in the RV business, we joined the association and the RV association and stuff. So the first dealer meeting, I remember showing up at the first dealer meeting, and I was 24 years old. I was wearing a ponytail and mini skirt and my stilettos, and I show up at the dealer meeting, and there was this whole big table full of fat cat cigar smoking good old boys sitting there, and they had this monopoly where each dealer on the street, one would sell Class A's like this type, and one would sell that type, and they all kind of price fixed where they had a certain margin, and nobody was open on Sunday. That was forbidden, and everybody had to close at 4 o'clock on Saturday, and 5 o'clock, no later than 5 o'clock during the week, and it was just everybody did the same thing. So I show up with my bubbly ideas of, we should be open until 9 o'clock at night because the families, they work. They work by the time they get home with the kids and dinner and this and that.
Shut up, kids. Sit down in your miniskirt, right?
No, worse than that. They said, "What are you doing here? Little girl, you need to go home and bake cookies. This is no place for a woman." They told me to go home and bake cookies. So the next 3 dealer meetings, which we had them once a month scheduled, well, they had it the day before, they had it the day after, they had it an hour before I got there. So after the 3rd meeting of me not being included, I was like, okay, I'll just do my own thing. So I went on, paid somebody else to bake the cookies, and I stayed open, and I worked 9 to 9, 7 days a week for 11 years. And one by one, the dealers folded, retired, or I bought them out.
I love that story. Okay, so we've got a lot of background on you, and all this is great. Thank you for sharing this information. But your perspective from 32 years of being in this industry, your perspective of how the industry works has got to have changed over the last 3 decades. And it's led you to this new venture, this new thing called the RV Advisor. And that's where I want to go. What were things like from your perspective, Gigi, back then, and how have things changed in the service end of it in terms of quality of product? Go ahead.
I think in 2008 when and I'll use the Walmart scenario. When you had your old, your small hardware store down the street that you used to walk in, hey, Tom, hey, Bob, hey, hey, Julie, how are you? That kind of one-on-one, stock your favorite parts, even though it might not have been the cheapest, but, they patted you on the back and you had good service and the part didn't work, you brought it back and no questions asked. And, you had that relationship. And then the Walmart showed up, and then the Walmart started either that if they didn't get the opportunity to buy the little store out, they squished it.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what happened in our industry in 2007, started happening. And I'm not, I bought a lot of dealers out, but I bought them fair and square, and I bought them just because they wanted to retire. They just didn't feel like working against me. They wanted to retire, but they've been in it for a long time. In 2007, for me, it was a super strong year. I had 4 stores and 16 satellite locations, and we had just grossed a little over $20 million for my little tiny spot on the map. It was, pretty large, and then first quarter of 2008, mid-quarter of 2008, where the industry started kind of crashing, the whole entire economy was crashing. I was actually on fire because I always carved a niche in the industry where I sold to people that needed RVs, not wanted RVs. So I always had a market in the equestrian world and emergency housing and things like that. So I always had, a market. So I was doing really well when the entire industry was crashing. And Camping World, actually starting, I think, in early 2007, started buying out dealerships. And he was kind of using tactics like Walmart, where if you don't sell, I'm going to take it anyway, kind of thing. And I saw it happening, but I just was in my own little world, and I didn't. There's always a thing where you always say, "Oh, that could never happen to me," kind of thing, And in mid-2008, in March, I was expanding when everybody was crashing, and I was building a huge new indoor facility with an indoor showroom, and I was going to be the largest. I was building a destination. Planet RV was going to be a destination where you could actually camp on our location, and indoor service, and it was just this whole big thing. And we were on the front page of the paper, and Marcus Lamonis called me and he goes, "Oh, well, congratulations!" And he wanted to buy my store after I don't know how long we spent on the phone.
The Marcus Lamonis from Camping World, Big Marcus.
Yes.
Yep.
The Marcus. So he calls and wants you chit-chatting, and he had interest in taking over my store. And I said, "Oh no, I'm not selling them. Everything was great. No, thank you," kind of thing, and politely hung up, and that was that. And then the next thing I know, I started getting just strange things were happening to me. My inventory, all my Fleetwood inventory was, and I was actually dealer of the year at that moment, and my Fleetwood inventory was coming in broken. I had just bought $2.5 million worth of inventory of Fleetwood motorhomes, and they all came in just with strange stuff like check-ins and lights, and the belts hand loosened and fell off and overheated, and just weird stuff. Fleetwood's not calling me back. I can't get anybody on the phone. It was so bizarre. Nobody would talk to me, and I'm their number one dealer right now, and nobody's talking to me. The only person that talked to me was Marcus. Marcus calls me and he says, "So I hear you're having problems with Freightliner and Fleetwood. I have connections. I can help you." That's strange. And Fleetwood doesn't even call me back. How does he know I have problems with? So I just thought it was a coincidence. Hang up, and that was "Yeah, I got it." Fast forward again, and 2 months more go by, and I fixed all those campers out of pocket by myself because my reputation was everything to me, and these were horse show customers that had to be fixed. Mm-hmm. But I've always. And I've actually been chastised by Fleetwood because my level of customer service was too high for what they were expecting.
Well, I was going to say, our mutual friend Chuck Woodbury at RV Travel was, the last couple of weeks, he had a story about you, but it said you're the most hated RV dealer in the country. What's the short story about that, Gigi?
Well, going back to the trade association and back to the dealers that didn't even include me in the dealer meeting, but I've always bucked the system. And just like what I just said about Fleetwood, they chastised me because I gave too good a customer service. Well, the RV Trade Association, the Florida RV Trade Association, and the RV Dealers Association, nobody would listen to me. It was their way or the highway, and I just always bucked the system. So they all would do meetings without me. I was never included, and if I did go to a meeting, I was just always ruled against, and I would argue and fight for. I always fought for the consumer, and it just down to the stupidest things like when we would have an RV show, and everybody goes to RV shows. Well, dealers, we pay to go to the shows, so we pay a lot of money, and I used to buy the most space. I had the biggest display, and I sold the most inventory at a show, but we pay, and the association wanted to make a profit on the show. So for me, I'm thinking, well, I pay the most money per square foot and buy the most space. You want to make a profit on the show? And they wanted to close early and this. I'm thinking, they want to make a profit so they could go to dinner and go on a cruise. And oh my God, they used to make me absolutely insane. No, why don't we lower the price per square foot so I could take some money off and give the discount to the customer? Oh, no, they hated me for that.
So you've been a consumer advocate. You've been protecting consumers for well over a decade, and that's what has led you to this thing that you're calling the RV Advisor, which is like a home advisor except for RV owners. Tell us about that.
So I guess how it started, because it, being, I after 2008, after all that happened, and Marcus did end up with my inventory and all that stuff, which is a whole other story. After all that, I put things in perspective, and I said, I'm going to stay with, I got to rebuild. When he did what he did to me, he put me $11.5 million in debt. That I crawled myself out of. But I needed to so I was down to one store, and friends, horse show people, communities, people were always reaching out to me. Gigi, I want to buy a fifth wheel. I want to buy this. I want to buy that. I'm in Ohio now, and I'm here and I'm there. Can you recommend me somewhere? Because I didn't have the inventory anymore that I used to have. So I couldn't recommend anybody. Because every time I did, they did crap service. They cheated my customer or my friend. And who do you think they're going to call? They called me. So I couldn't recommend anybody. And then, service. I myself, who my level of service is probably maybe too high of expectations. But if a customer needs service and they bought from someone I recommended, I can't even get them service. So I needed to try to. Angie's List was just an amazing concept in South Florida, because in South Florida at the time, when Hurricane Andrew hit, there was a huge insurgent of contractors that came here, roofers and stuff, to rebuild when Andrew hit, and they were all unscrupulous. They were ripping people off, and so Angie's List kind of started like that when all of these homeowners got ripped off by contractors, and they just took off with their deposits and did shoddy work and stuff like that. So she started with this membership platform, and where people would be members, and then once she had a huge base, she was able to kind of dictate to the contractors to kind of hold them accountable. It was brilliant. And then as soon as she got a big enough membership base, she flipped the script and made the contractors pay for advertising, because they needed to be certified or her members wouldn't do business with them. That's my mission. So that's exactly what we need. We need to be so powerful. So my huge vision is the only way that we can overtake the industry and to have a voice is to overpower it in numbers. Exactly what she did.
And it starts out with one. Just with one person writing a $25 check, and then one more, and then one more. It's not. We need 100 right now. We just need one, and then another one, and then another one. If they understand the need for someone like a Gigi Stetler and the RV Advisor to stand up for the consumer, I think that this has been needed for so long. I've like being hated on both sides, because people, and what's really sad is I'm like on all these group chats, the Facebook groups, the RV horror stories, and Camping World Experience and stuff like that, and I actually make comments to try to help people. Call me, I can help you. No one believes me that I want to help them. They all go, oh, she just wants your $25. We don't need you. We could Google information, and it's like, I'm like, you can't help somebody like that. Just go away. Yeah. Not everybody's going to join. Not everybody, but everybody. I think there's enough people out there that need representation. They need a fighter. They need somebody that knows how to sniff out the BS from manufacturers or from shoddy dealers. So what is the deal? Okay, so tell me, what do I get? I give you my $25 for the RV Advisor. I'm an RVer. Do I have to have a new RV? Can I?
No, you don't even have to own an RV yet. And actually, I really want members I want members that haven't even bought yet so that they get educated and know the right questions to ask before you make a mistake and buy the wrong RV. And those are the things. But even if it doesn't matter where you are in ownership or thinking about ownership or renting or whatever, if you look at our website, the amount of content and the added content every day and every day and every day, I have a team. I have a team of lawyers to help protect your rights. We've built such a foundation, and it was expensive, and it's not my livelihood. It's almost sport for me. I make my money. My little personal dealership, makes me a living. This is sport for me to fix something broken. I just think that I was put on earth to right wrongs.
How big of an issue do you think this really is, Gigi, industry-wide? I mean, you see, you've got to hear hundreds of stories from RVers. How big of a problem is it, people being hoodwinked or taken advantage of? They can't get their RV out of the service garage. How big of an issue is this compared to maybe what it was 10 or 15 years ago?
Well, it's so big now because the same story on the manufacturer side, where we used to have 100 and something manufacturers, and now they've all gobbled up all the companies, and there's 4 or 5 players now, and it's almost the same thing in the retail side, where you've got the giants out there. And I'm going to tell you, I was the number 1 Fleetwood dealer in the country at one point in my career, and I was selling maybe 180, 200 units a month, and I couldn't service them. It's impossible, and I'll never do it again. And I know, and it is impossible for any dealer to service that amount of inventory. It's impossible. So I think what's wrong, and I'm not, I get it that dealers want to grow and they have an opportunity to be a big dealer and get volume discounts and stuff like that, but what I would like to see change is, I believe, bringing back, or supporting these, everybody needs to buy local. But I believe that the local, small mom and pop and the local dealerships should own the customer, or the dealership should own the customer and not the brand.
Give me an example of that. Give me.
Okay, what I mean by that, let's say, for instance, right now, I'm a Forest River dealer, but because of the way the franchise agreements work now, I have my territory, but I'm only a Forest River dealer for the Sierra brand, okay, in a particular model fifth wheel. Mm-hmm. So let's say, and I've been in business for 32 years, so let's just say, I've got customers that come back, and they're repeat customers for years and years and years. So let's say I had a customer that, that I've known for years. She wants to buy a Winnebago. Well, I don't sell Winnebago. So there's no Winnebago dealer, and this actually just happened recently. So the closest Winnebago dealer, and she lives 15 minutes from my store, the closest Winnebago dealer is like 900 miles away. So that dealer should be able to sell me that Winnebago, make a few pennies, let me make my profit, let me sell it to my customer, and let me own the customer, and let me service the customer, and the customer will get service on that Winnebago.
Instead of buying it hundreds of miles away when you have a problem, then you have to go hundreds of miles back over to the dealer that you bought it from. So
it just doesn't make sense. Why should the customer suffer that a dealer has territory? That this whole protective territory. It's different in the auto business because, okay, there's only, one Chevrolet dealership per, so many miles. But you know what? You could go to any Chevrolet dealer and get service. Well, you can't do that in the RV business.
Right. Okay, so if I'm a member of the RV Advisor, if I pay my $25, not only do I get an education, not only am I a part of something bigger than me, but I've got you and your 32 years of knowledge, the team of professionals you've got working for you in this effort to bring consumers together. But you're also doing this promotion. I think it's cute as all get out. The Camping World Challenge. The Camping World Challenge. What is it, and why did you do it?
Well, it was my birthday last week, and I remember calling you in urgency.
Yeah.
So every year on my birthday, I do something. I give something away. I do something for somebody, and just being on the, just watching all the comments on the RV horror story Facebook and the Camping World experience and our own members. We probably, between myself and my assistant, we probably get 25, 30 calls a day or emails and stuff of just broken-hearted people of just lost and stuck and just don't even know what to do, and 90% of them are Camping World customers. And I have customers that live in my neighborhood that drove 1,000 miles to go buy a camper that I have sitting on my lot just to save money, didn't buy it for me, went and drove 1,000 miles to save money at Camping World, got beat up anyway on the back end, brought it back, it's all broken, and said, here, fix it. Now, what do you think I'm going to tell them?
Gee.
And that's what everybody tells them. Go pound sand.
Right.
So customers shouldn't do that. Pay my price. First off, every dealer, I'm not the cheapest dealer in town, but you're going to get fixed within 24 hours, if not the same day. And if I have to, and I pay most of my service out of my pocket, and if I get paid back from the factory, I get paid. If I don't, I throw it away. I don't care.
So not to the extent that you do, but I get a lot of emails. A lot of people contact me with an RV that's stuck. I call it an RV hell, purgatory. They cannot get it out. They're making payments on it, insurance payments, storage lot payments, and they can't even use their RV, and it's for months at a time.
That's why I started. Okay, so the challenge thing, so as I'm reading all of these stories and these emails and talking to customers and stuff and looking at Camping World responses, so the funniest is all you have to do is click on one of their ads one time and then they stalk you. That's just how Google works.
Mm-hmm.
So I get all their ads and then I look at their comments. They have hundreds and hundreds of comments. So I just look at all their comments and I look at all the people in the service and this and that, and I just start to follow them. Just to, I have to know what's going on just so that I can actually, chime in and try to fix something. So 99% of their response and the reason that, it's taking so long to look at the vehicle or whatever is they're saying we have to get factory approval. Everything is, we're waiting for factory approval. A month later, 2 months later, they're waiting for factory approval.
Do you think that's true, or are they lying?
I know it's not true. It's a flat-ass lie, and that's why I want to challenge him. And I hope Marcus is listening, because that's why I'm going to pick 5 lucky customers. And just for instance, this one comes to mind. Okay, so
Yep.
this one lady, she writes in, and she's about to retire police officer, and she bought it to come to Florida. She lives out of Ohio or Tennessee or somewhere, and she bought it to spend 6 months in Florida and 6 months in her state. And she bought it in October, knowing that she was retiring that year at the end of the year, and she was heading to Florida for the first week of January. So she buys it in October. She brings it home, and it's full of water. It's leaking. So she calls them up, and she says, it's got problems, and there's plumbing leak, and there's water dripping everywhere. She hooked it up to her water when she got home. So they said, I'll bring it back. So she brings it back. She goes, okay, I'll tell you, I'm not in a big rush, but I'm leaving for my trip on January 5th. Please make sure it's ready. So she repeatedly followed up. She called that month and the next month. And, we're waiting on factory approval, blah, blah, blah. So she gets a call on New Year's Eve sometime at almost the end of the day. And they call her up, and they said, somebody from Camping World says, you need to come and pick up your trailer. We're closing our store, and if you don't pick it up, I don't know what's going to happen to it and where it's going to be.
Been there since October. She's supposed to leave in January to go to Florida.
And they're closing their doors. They close the store, and she has to go pick it up. So she goes New Year's Day, picks it up, brings it home. Not only was nothing fixed, it was 3 times more damage. So she comes to Florida anyway with her damaged camper, and she hooks up water. She puts buckets under all of it, every fitting in the camper. She's got buckets everywhere and stuff like that. So they sold her, of course, all the extended warranties and all this stuff. That added $10,000 to her bottom line, and so she calls up and she's trying to get copies of her warranties and copies of this and copies. Oh well, we moved, we closed it, so we don't know where your papers. They have no idea. That store's closed. They don't know where to send her. They don't know what to do with her. She drops it off at another dealership that they told her that it stayed there for 3 months, and they lost her paperwork again, and it was a disaster. So I told her to call her bank and the bank that financed it, because they would have had copies of her paperwork that, when they got it financed, so she could get copies of everything. So I just, she bought a Forest River product. So I was like, I'm a Forest River dealer. Let me just go in the portal here and see what's going on. So I look it up, and so they've already processed. They got 30. I called Forest River. They tell me that they've already approved $3,500 worth of repairs for this thing.
But I thought Camping World said they didn't have any approval.
Thank you. So they've approved $3,500. They didn't tell me if they paid the claim. I think they processed the claim, got paid for the claim, and never even looked at the camper. But I can't prove that. So I have one of my peers inside of Forest River, and Forest River is amazing. And I hate when people dog them, because it is not the factory. And Jayco is amazing, and Keystone is great. They are great. Okay, I get claims done 10 minutes. I get something approved. Okay, that is BS what they say. So anyway, $3,500. So I told the lady in Forest River, I said, please help my lady. Please. She found another dealer to take care of that lady, and she's as happy as a clam. Everything is fixed. So that's a story. But it's not. So that's why the Camping World Challenge, because I'm going to challenge all these deals that he says are taking all this time to get approval, and call him out on it, because he's a liar.
Okay, so let me just kind of cut through this. So what you're telling me, if I'm a listener, I'm hearing this interview, and I am stuck in purgatory at Camping World, and I cannot seem to get my RV back for whatever the excuse is, I can submit my story to the RV advisor, and I could be one of 5 people that you select. You will pick up my RV from Camping World, take it to your dealership.
Well, I don't know if Camping World will let me in, but I'll pick it up from wherever I can pick it up legally from, yes.
Okay, and bring it to your dealership, fix it, and where the owner can get it for free.
Yep, and I'll bring it back to you.
And you're doing this to just show that what people are being told is a bunch of BS. They really can do it quickly if they made it a priority, right? I mean,
yes, and I'm not saying it's free. It's free to the customer, but I'll most likely get paid from Forest River or whatever factory I'm going to work with, because they pay their claims. They pay. They might not pay 100% what I'm asking, and that's not the point. But if I'm a selling dealer and I made a profit on you, okay, you absorb some of the cost of warranty because you made a profit, and that's the reason why you take care of your customer. Camping World made a profit on these customers. He needs to build the profit into some of the warranty work. That's how it works.
And this is what some of my $25 gets. It gets this kind of service. This is a promotion.
Advice on what to do. This is probably this customer's best $25 he had ever spent, and I'm going to share this story. This guy Tom, he's been everywhere. Like, he has been all over the place. Okay, so he bought a camper in I think it was March of this year, of 2019, and he actually doesn't even really have. Well, he doesn't even know if he doesn't have a service problem, because he can't even use the camper. But when he bought it at the Camping World store, and as they were doing the walkthrough, they brought him over keys. Well, none of the keys worked. Then they brought him another set of keys, and then he believed them, and he drove home. He got home, that the outside refrigerator compartment door fell off, and, of course, the brand-new shiny keys didn't work. So they tell him, so he calls up, and he says, I need to get, a compartment door. It fell off. He didn't tighten it or whatever, and I need to come by and get the door, and these keys don't work. I need to get keys. Well, you'll have to drop it off. So he drops it. He said, well, we need about 3 or 4 weeks before we can look at it.
No.
I'm not going to look at it. I just need keys. I just need keys in a refrigerator door. That's it. well, we can't look at it right now. So he ends up not bringing it. I think he drove there. I don't remember what happened to the refrigerator door, but so they said, okay, we're just going to change the locks. Oops, Camping World doesn't have any more locks. They had no locks in stock, so they'll mail him the keys. So,
all right, well, listen, Gigi, we're gonna try to in the next 5 or 10 minutes at the most wrap this thing up. Here's the deal. Let me just jump in here, folks. If you're an RVer, I trust that you can hear it in Gigi's voice that she's the real deal. She hears stories. I hear stories all the time that are sad. They're not always the dealer's fault. They're not always the manufacturer's fault. Sometimes it's the consumer's fault. But by being a part of the RV Advisor, you are with somebody that's a fighter, somebody that will go to bat for you. They will be a resource for if you do have a problem. Don't wait till you have a flat tire to call the guy to come fix it. You need,
Yep.
Support somebody. For God's sake, people complain all the time, and then they'll sit back and not do anything except complain. This is an opportunity. $25. It's like, I'm not trying to get into politics, but when Donald Trump said, what have you got to lose to, a certain demographic of people? It's the truth. $25. We waste $25 on going to dinner, at least a person. So spend $25. Support the RV Advisor. If you've got a horror story from Camping World, if you have a friend, a family member, somebody that's stuck in purgatory, let Gigi submit your story. How do people do this, Gigi? How do they get a hold of you?
If you go to our website, thervadvisor.com, and on announcements, you'll see the Camping World Challenge, and click there, and then it'll say submit your story. And I just need the short version, and then I read the short version, and if I find that you're a possible candidate, then I ask you to submit your evidence, and then I move forward. And I read them all. I have other people that help me, but I narrow them down. And next week, actually, I'm going to, Alan, I didn't tell you, but if you would invite me back for 10 minutes, we will select the winners together next week. Or online or something, but and then hopefully we get enough good stuff spread around that I could do another 5 next month, because that's just the only way that we're going to get our message loud.
You know what would be neat, Gigi? I know while we're just kind of thinking out loud here, but when you pick your winners, if it were possible to get each one of these people and get them on the show just to tell a real short story, 3 or 4 minute story about what happened, their experience, and then, how Gigi came in to save the day. I think that would be very compelling. What do you think?
After they're fixed, because I pick it up, I still have to put my money where my mouth is, so.
Good idea. Yeah.
Like after they're fixed, then they can, and I'm not, the whole point of me doing this is I just want people to know how important it is to have a relationship with your dealer. I'm not tooting my own horn saying that, I'm the best dealer in the universe. I'm making a point that it's possible. If you support your local dealer, your small local dealer, that's the kind of service that you're going to get. You deal with these big conglomerates, you're not going to get that. If you want to go find the cheapest price and go drive 1,000 miles to save $1,000, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get nothing, because no one's going to take care of you. You need to buy local, at least within 60, 70 miles of where you live. That's local. You have to do that.
I totally...
If they don't have the brand you want, ask them to find it for you. I buy inventory from other dealers. Dealers sell to me, and you know what I do? Dealers will sell it. I'm not a Jayco dealer, but if someone wants to buy a Jayco, I'll buy a Jayco from another dealer. I'll title it to myself, and I'll sell it to the customer as used, and I'll give him or sell him an extended warranty, and he has even a better warranty.
I'm telling you, the name of the game is to try to stay local, do your homework. These people, and I'm guilty of it too, Gigi. I want to save money like everybody else does, but then as soon as I have a problem, if a tool doesn't work or something doesn't fit properly, then I just have to go through hell to try to, because I'm such a cheapskate. I tried to save $5 or $10, and buying an RV.
Time is money. Time is money. You have to think about your time, life. Take it from me, who shouldn't even be here today. every day above ground is a great day for me. And if you think that I'm going to spend my time trying to fight over getting something fixed because I wanted to save $25, you are crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you have to stop thinking like that.
Okay, so we're going to send people to thervadvisor.com, right?
Yes.
thervadvisor.com. We got a link up. We're going to go ahead and post it on the YouTube video as well. We could go on and on. We will reconnect here in the next couple of weeks for sure. What do you think?
I just want to tell you the very end of my Tom story because you're going.
Yes, please. Yes.
You better sit down for this. So after all of that with the keys and the whole situation, I told the guy I could send him the keys. Just give me the number. Anyway, so then he's like, it's been almost 6 months and he still doesn't have a title. He never got his tags. Well, actually, they added $10,000 to his finance contract, and he didn't even know it, but he got that all sorted after fighting with them. So now he still doesn't have a title or tag. He has no tags, no temporary tag, no nothing. So he's been calling and calling and calling, and they keep telling him, oh, bring it back for inspection because we lost your title. They keep telling him they lost the title. Okay, how does this $1-point-something billion company lose titles?
Oh,
so
my
That
God.
doesn't make sense. No, something's fishy. So,
Yeah.
of course, I'm a dealer, so I went and, I snooped around. And guess why he doesn't have a title?
I don't know.
He doesn't have a title because the camper that he bought was traded in by another customer, and that customer had a loan with Bank of the West, and Camping World never paid off the loan from the previous customer a year ago.
Oh, my God. That's
So
a good one,
this
Gigi.
guy, there's 2 liens on this guy's camper right now.
Oh.
Because this guy financed too, and he doesn't have it. So there's 2 liens. He has a temporary expired tag with a lien on it, a temporary lien on it, and Bank of the West is holding the title with a payoff that I got today that Camping World never paid from 8 or 9 or 10 months ago.
Oh,
How
my
do you
God.
like that?
I don't even know what to say. It's just another example of,
$1 billion company can't even pay off a camper.
well,
And they're lying to the customer saying they lost the title and the bank is holding it for the previous owner.
all right, listen, we're going to pick this thing up in a couple of weeks. I want to encourage everybody. Go to thervadvisor.com. Support Gigi Stetler. Support what she is doing. Tell your friends about it. Share this podcast. Share this interview across social media. You know, this is not a get-rich-quick thing. It is not a miracle cure. But I'm telling you, I believe we as RVers in this community, we are blessed with people that come in front of us. And I think one of those people we're blessed with is to have a fighter like you, Gigi. And for that, I am most grateful that that you spend your time with us so often.
Thank you. I actually enjoy it. Thank you so much for listening.
All right.
I really appreciate it.
We will stay in touch, and best of luck with everything, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
All right, you take care. All right, folks, again, thervadvisor.com. Thervadvisor.com. It's $25. I mean, come on. Give it a shot. All right, Gigi is one hell of a fighter, and I do believe that the time has come for a national group to establish itself that represents RVers. If you like this interview, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. You may even want to share the link on your social media pages. Finally, if you would, we would love to hear from you, as in make a telephone call, as in let us know your thoughts about today's show, if you would, and about what we're doing here on the RV Show USA. Your thoughts, your comments, they mean the world to us. They really do. The number to call to leave a voicemail message is 1-330-WINGMAN. 1-330-WINGMAN. The graphics girl listens to every single call, does a little bit of editing, shares them with our great sponsors, because without our sponsors, PPL Motorhomes, Cheyenne Camping Center, and RV Station, the RV Show USA would not exist. So your telephone call, your voicemail message really will help. The phone number again, 1-330-WINGMAN. Until next time, I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman, reminding you, don't leave your good manners at home. So long, everybody.